We are live. You need to unmute yourself, Lawrence.
Good morning, everybody. I'm just going to say the opening statement that we usually do start with, and then I'm going to let Dan go ahead with because he chose the theme today, and I thought it was very, very appropriate. So the only thing I would say for the moment is the usual mantra is the slaughterhouse of failure is not in our destiny. We will persist until we succeed. It comes from Og Mandino, the greatest salesman in the world, a little modified for us. So Dan,
yes, yeah, sir. We just had probably one of the most important holidays of the year, if you're a Star Wars fan, and that was May the 4th, and the whole May the 4th be with you craze. So our talk today is May the 6th be with you, mindset from Master Yoda. So I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I mean, I've watched the movies. I'm not a nut about it, but if you've watched the movies, then you know who Yoda is. Yoda is kind of the philosopher, teacher of Luke Skywalker. And, I started looking around at quotes because I know there's a couple that really resound with me. And there's actually a lot of very interesting quotes that he has. And so the first one, we're going to delve into a couple of these today because I think they're really resonate with a lot of folks on here and what we're doing. And the first one of those is do or do not. There is no try. This line spoken by Yoda in the film Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. So, basically what he's saying is that you have to believe completely in the Force. So you have to believe completely in whatever it is you're doing, whatever it is that you believe in, you need to believe in it fully. And Luke said he'll try. He's admitting that he still has doubts about the power of the Force, right? So this is a great reminder to all of us to commit ourselves to something completely, win or lose. It's simply a lesson in commitment and the power in giving something our all, not just giving it a try. So, I've been on calls with folks and they say, I'll give it a try. I've been talking to them about our business, what we do, what all it entails. And they say they'll give it a try. And to me, that's an instantaneous turnoff. Either you're going to fully commit to something or you're not for a certain period of time, or, do everything you can to learn about it, get out to make a commitment to go to Utah, make a commitment to do 3-way calls, make a commitment to reaching out to everybody in your network and telling them what you're doing. And so, for me, when you try something, you haven't fully committed to doing it. When you say you're going to try something, you just are committed to participating, not committing to be fully committed in your belief system in what you're actually giving your effort towards. We need to be committed by doing and making a commitment to do. So there, do or do not, there is no try.
Yeah, and so, in life as well, when we're exactly on that theme, and we say, one of the questions we always ask everybody is, who are you? And how well do you know self? And what do you want? Those 3 questions. And the first one is, who are you? And then there is where you've got to define, are you someone that's going to actually, are you a doer or a hopefully doer? So, when you talk to someone, you say, well, I hope I can do this. I hope to be there. I'd like to participate. These are all doubts and they're cobwebs. And they're the cobwebs that are our stumbling blocks to the certainty which we should have. I will be there. I will do it. No, I'm going to try and do it. I'll try. No. So that doubt that we have can override our desire, the attainable goal that we have, because the cobweb get in the way, that the uncertainty. And that's what we've got to get rid of. You've got to know who you are. You've got to know what you want. You've got to know that you can. There's absolutely no doubt whatsoever that we can achieve whatever we want, but we've got to get rid of those doubts. We've got to get rid of those cobwebs of uncertainty. That is all it's all in the mind. When you say fear, false evidence appearing real, it's not there. I'm afraid I can't. I'm afraid, I'm fearful. Yes, it's all in the mind. I'm scared to fly. Why? When was the last time you fell in a plane? See, these are all psychological hiccups that we have.
Exactly, and it all comes down to trying or doing. And so, have you ever known someone who tried something and wasn't successful? How about someone who does something or did something and were successful? What's the difference between those two? I think that those who do are destined to succeed because they're committed. And those who haven't given enough time or commitment to succeeding or winning, those who try haven't given enough commitment or time to succeeding or winning. And so, I read a quote yesterday that ability is what you're capable of doing. Motivation determines what you do, and attitude determines how well you do it.
Oh, I love that. Hey, let's write that down, man. Dan, those are pearls of wisdom there.
It's not ability is what you're capable of trying. Motivation determines what you try. Attitude determines how well you try. No, it's all about in the doing, what you're doing. And so I wanted to share one thing with everybody this morning, because our kids are 8 and 11, and my office butts right up to their bedroom. And so they hear all these talks that I do. They hear me talking about the business. And this is something that Porter, the 8-year-old, brought home this week, and kind of impetus for some of this talk. It's okay not to know, but it's not okay to not try. What does this quote mean for you? If you don't do, you will get nowhere in life. That was his response to that. So, he had do in there. It was about the do and not trying. He took the try out of the initial question and turned it into do, and he's 8 years old. So, I thought that was pretty impressive. Obviously, what they're listening to and what they hear and what they pick up on is getting through to them. It's not meant to. They're just hearing it as a byproduct of being in the room next door. But I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and that there is attitude. Attitude determines everything. We have always said that. We've always talked about your attitude. If you've got the attitude of a winner, even if you fail, it doesn't matter, because your attitude is there, and you'll get up and you'll get on and you'll start again, and you will eventually achieve what you want to achieve. But you must have that attitude of absolute positivity. So what Porter was saying there, do. So I don't try, do. So that was the whole point of the talk today, and that's why Dan chose that particular subject, because I think is extremely relevant. Good job.
Yeah. So this we're going to move on to the second quote that Yoda was teaching Luke Skywalker, and that's that you must unlearn what you have learned. Sometimes learning is just like that. We can't be right all the time. We can't learn the right thing every time. He uses this quote when he's teaching Luke how to raise his sunken ship out of the swamp with the Force. Luke thinks it's impossible, but Yoda tells him otherwise. He tells him that sometimes you have to think outside the box, that you must unlearn what you've learned. It's everything that you've learned isn't going to be applicable to every situation or every time you're having a conversation, you're going to do something. What you've been taught is not applicable every single time. So sometimes you need to unlearn those things to learn new things by thinking outside the box. And then you use what you've learned and what you've unlearned to actually win. So, the cool thing about this business for me is it's strategic, and it's constantly evolving and constantly changing. And the conversations that we have need to be constantly evolving and constantly changing. So I'm constantly unlearning what I've already learned so that I can, be more successful, increase my hit rate, increase my close rate, trying different things to see how they work, and that's an evolution. So, Lawrence, do you have anything to say on that?
Yeah, absolutely. The changes that have been forced upon us through COVID, we're experiencing huge changes in our lives. Who would have thought, 5 years ago, that we all want to work from home, and we can, and we are. This is something unheard of. That certainly my generation was indoctrinated to think that we'd be working from womb to tomb with a company. And that was a whole Robert Kiyosaki quadrant about, the poor dad, rich dad, and poor dad. The poor dad says, get a good education, get a job, and work all your life for a good company, and then you can retire. Well, today, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to be 40 years working for the same company just to look forward to your retirement. You're looking forward to the shortening of your life. We look forward to Friday. Horrible, horrible. You're shortening your lives. We're short. So technology is now put to new uses. Our people skills are challenged with having to learn new technological skill. Me, for one, I'm a complete klutz with technology, but I got to learn it. But we still need to use the knowledge that we have, that we've got to adapt to what the technology is. So, for example, LinkedIn makes us fearless to talk to anybody. We can just talk to the computer, to the keyboard, and connect with somebody, no matter who it is. It could be, Elon Musk. Say, hi, Elon. I saw what you're doing. I think it's great. Of course, he probably will not answer, but some people that we think will never answer do. It could be a professor of some, or an author of some book or something, and you can connect with him. So the shyness of contacting disappears. But once we get with that person and we're able to get onto, from LinkedIn, for example, we can connect with anybody fearlessly. And then when we connect with somebody and we can get onto Zoom, we watch body language. So we're able to apply some of the knowledge that we have, and we're unlearning some of our stuff to learn new stuff, but we can adapt it, and we should, and we do. And so, that I think is exciting, or it's like daunting, but it's not. It's exciting. It's something new. It's something that we can keep going forward. That's what progress is about. And the progress has got to start with our own mental attitude about going forward fearlessly.
Yeah, a lot of these, the reluctance that we have to do things is based in fear that we've created. And so Jerry Savage talks a lot about called reluctance, and that's one of those things, and everybody has it. If you're in sales or you're in education, like kind of we are, there's times when you don't feel like making that phone call, or you don't feel like walking into that office. So you don't feel like having that phone, that last phone call, whatever it may be. At times you're going to have this call reluctance. And where does this call reluctance come from? Is it something that we've created in our mind? Do we have a fear of rejection? We have a fear of somebody saying no? Where is that fear coming from? And being able to unlearn that fear that we have making that call, making that last call, or several calls in a day. I go through it some days. I'm like, you know what? I can't make one more call. And then I'm like, you know what? This one last call could be the one that makes the whole day worth it. So it's like, that's what keeps you going, and keeping that positive mental attitude, and not letting those negative things creep into your mind. So the third quote here from Yoda, and it's kind of interesting. Size matters not. Look at me, judge me by my size, do you? And so he says that to Luke, because Luke makes a comment about Yoda's size, And then Yoda, because he's amused a little bit, that's what the quote that he throws back at Luke. And if you've watched the prequels, you know that Yoda's little, but he's also very fierce. And so success comes in all shapes and sizes. Some of the strongest people I have known are small in stature or unassuming, and they've been very successful despite that. So, when we're talking to somebody, whether we met them through LinkedIn, at a conference, whatever it may be, don't judge a book by its cover. They may be the next leader on your team. They may be the next scanner operator on your team. You never know who you're talking to, or you never know who you're talking to may know. So, one of the most difficult things to do is to not judge book by its cover, because you may look at somebody and say, oh, you know what, they're probably not going to be a good fit. But some people are shy initially. And then when you get to know them, they warm up. And then you start to realize, hey, this person knows a lot of people, or this person's really passionate about health and wellness and preventive medicine. And, so don't judge a book by its cover. You never know who that next person that you're going to meet will be, and who that person will be on your team, on your leadership team.
Dan, just to the quick thing on what you said a little while ago about the extra call, that's the slight edge. When you just go that extra mile on what you were talking before, and on what we're talking about right now, we're talking about judging a book by its cover. And I think Napoleon was about 4'7" or something, 4'6". And yet, look at he did. Simon Bolivar was one of the biggest conquerors of on the planet. He went through the whole of South America. All of South America was united. He wasn't a big, huge guy. He was skinny. He actually died at 38 or something of TB or emphysema or something. So you're right. And, we tend to think of size and we think, wow, that's huge. Wow, we're in awe. Well, think about this. General Motors sells 6.3 million cars in 2020. Wow. But guess what? Tesla only sold 500,000 cars in 2020, and it earned more money than General Motors. Tesla, 500,000 cars, that's it, in 2020, and 6.3 from General Motors. And we go, oh my God, is that possible? And who would have heard, and General Motors has been around since the beginning of the vehicle industry, Ford and so on. Tesla's, 10 years old, 15, I don't know, the vehicle manufacturing. And if you think small is a problem, just think about a mosquito. When you're in a room at night, the size of a mosquito, it'll keep you awake the whole bloody night if you can't find it. So size is irrelevant. It's what you do with what you got. And it's not a limitation. It's not a limitation. I look at somebody who's 6'4" and I think, my God, I'd love to be like that. And then I think, well, when he gets in a plane, his teeth are in his knees or her knees. And I'm thinking, I don't really want to do that. So I'm just being silly, but I'm saying size is something that is totally, it's in the perception. It's nothing more than that.
Yeah, and it's not just size, it's, education. It's whether they've had success in the past. There's all of these different facets to people that we need to learn to overlook. They're not detriments. They can be actually be positives. So I had a conversation with a gentleman yesterday that I met on LinkedIn, and he's a certified financial planner or something. And he started telling me his story. He was a car salesman for a used car lot. Then he worked his way up to a BMW dealership and then a Mercedes dealership. And he ended up having a client who was a certified financial planner for Edward Jones. And this guy, came to him after purchasing his car, and he said, Travis, he said, you're the polished package that we look for. at Edward Jones to have, a franchise. And he was like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm a car salesman. He's like, no, you have everything that you need to be successful. You're the whole package. You have the look, you talk, you communicate excellent, and 3 years ago, this guy was given his own Edward Jones franchise. I don't even know if they're franchise. I think they're all direct. I don't know how it works, but anyway, he went from used car salesman thinking that was going to be the rest of his life to now he's a certified financial planner, controlling hundreds of millions of dollars in people's retirement plans. And he was just like, I never would have imagined that I would have been here 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So, you can't judge a book by its cover. The last thing is, the last quote is, the greatest teacher failure is. And, Yoda imparts this wisdom on Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi. He wonders where he went wrong when training Ben Solo, and Yoda comes back to remind Luke that as a teacher, he's not perfect and he shouldn't blame himself for Ben's turn to the dark side. So, we're not always responsible for our failures. There's other things at play. It's how we come out of those failures and how we move forward after those failures that defines who we are, and that's going to define our success. So what has failure taught you? Have you ever failed and not learned something? Failure is success to me. No's are just practices for those yeses that we get, right? It's just, it's practicing over and over and over, getting all of these no's, just like in the book, Go for No. And I read another great quote yesterday that really resounded with me. It was, don't get upset by the results you didn't get with the work that you didn't do.
Oh, that's a good one.
I loved it.
Good one. Wow, that's excellent.
Can you repeat that, please?
Don't get upset by the results you didn't get with the work you didn't do.
Wow.
And who said that?
I don't know. It was in a post that I saw somewhere. I don't think they attributed it to anybody. And I didn't have time to do the research, so I apologize for that.
But that's perfect.
People get upset and they say I failed without even putting in the work. It goes back to our first point. There is no try, there is only do.
Yes.
Right? If you're not doing something, how can you expect to be successful? How can you expect to get results? If you're just trying something, you're not actually going for results. You're not actually going to succeed. You're just trying it. Right? So if you're
it's like you guys are in my brain. Just by the way, this is Colleen Marie. Lost connection on my computer. I am on a mission to remove a couple of words from the dictionary, and it's interesting. 3 months ago, guess what the word is? Try.
Try.
And 2 days ago, I posted transformation is just as much about unlearning as it is learning. So talk about synchronicities in the messages that you guys are putting out. And quite frankly, where our heart is at Focused Outcomes is to do that, to help people that don't have the mindset that they need to be successful, to understand failure is success, to your point. So I really look forward to sharing this live stream with a lot of different people, because there's a lot of people on our planet that are in that mindset. And a lot of them are caring. A lot of them are the doctors that we're talking to, are the practitioners that are responsible for well-being for others. So thank you guys for reinforcing these messages and bringing some new tidbits to my brain as well. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And why try can be detrimental in some areas. The strongest word probably in the English dictionary is yet, because yet implies that you're still willing to do something, right? When you say, I'm not going to do that, or I'm not going to be successful. If you just add that 1 3-letter word after everything that you say, it implies that you're going to keep moving forward, right? I haven't been successful yet, right? And it's just 1 3-letter word, and it can mean all the difference in your mindset.
Absolutely. So on the third, we were talking about that you learn from your failures. You can learn if you've got a positive attitude, if you are a positive person, not if you've got an attitude, if you are, because it's about being, not thinking about, it's about being. If you are a positive person, if you've got a positive attitude and you fail, you say, oh, what did I learn from that? What can I do better? It's not going to happen again with those same mistakes, but I'm going forward. Or if you're a negative person and you fail, you say, oh, geez, well, I tried that. No, that's it. I'm not doing it again. That's the end of it. And so that's where we get the difference between somebody who will succeed and someone who tried to succeed and failed. And the lesson for the trier was, I tried it, it didn't work, and that's it. We've all spoken to many people who've said, no, I've tried that, it just doesn't work. Really? And I've actually been quite rude about it to sometimes. I've said to people, does the company that you tried it with, does that still exist? Oh, yeah. Is it thriving? Yeah. Well, then you're the failure. It's not the company. If the company's still around doing what it's doing and you failed at it, or you didn't have a success at it, you're the failure. So you've got to regroup and you've got to rethink and you've got to tweak your attitude to one of absolutely will succeed. So learning is, failure is, we always say, fail your way to the top. Why do we say that? Because the more you fail, the more you learn. And if you've got the right attitude to step on those failures as stepping stones forward, then your success is more or less assured if you have the right attitude.
And I just pasted into the post, Dr. Joe Scalia was kind enough to send me a text message with the person who quoted that, don't get upset with the results you didn't get, with the work you didn't do. It's Eric Thomas.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
Rock star. So we're at 10 o'clock. Has anybody got any? Sorry, Dan, go ahead.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Does anybody have any questions, or anybody in sleeveless shirts have any questions? Any comments? Dr. Joe?
Listen, I had sleeves, but they popped off.
Reminded of that song by Right Said Fred. He's too sexy for his sleeves. Too sexy for his sleeves.
Can I just make a quick comment about
yes. So Obi-Wan, go ahead, Obi-Wan.
I just want to make a very quick comment about Joe and his sleeves because it's totally relevant to what we're doing today. Joe decided that he was going to lose 50 pounds. He said, I'm doing it. I'm going to do it. I'm doing it. And he lost 50 pounds through being absolutely disciplined. He rides like 50 miles a day before going to work. What? But his discipline, his dedication, his focus, his obsession becomes an obsession, but a good obsession leads to the results that he wanted. And everybody is capable of whatever we want to achieve. So, Joe?
Yeah, this is a great theme here. And my coach from cross country in high school used to quote, there's no such thing as trying, you do or you don't. And you're right. Failure is just figuring out one more way how not to do things. So it's a success. And Steve Moore's on the call here. And we've all been into personal growth. And that's really something that's so refreshing about this company. We get to build something that we love and we're passionate about, and we get to do it in a culture of upliftment, and we lift each other up at the same time. We take that for granted because that's not the culture in the workplaces. It's sometimes you work in a very toxic environment. And just the fact that we're here and we're all on the same page with like-minded individuals, that's going to get you where you're going to go if you don't have that reluctance. I've been the one who's been reluctant to make those phone calls. And I was showing her this opportunity. And
Losing you, Joe.
Losing you, Joe.
Oh, we losing.
Steve Moore, and she said something that day. Yep, you could. Well, you lost me.
Yeah.
That's better.
You're back.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Okay.
All right. So basically, I was prospecting this nurse, and she got to meet Steve Moore, and she said, after Steve Moore did his presentation, she said he's very comfortable in his own skin, and it just like hit me like, man, I'm not comfortable in my own skin, and I got to get there. And that's part of the story about how I've done what I've done. I said, you know what? Who do I need to be to accomplish what I want to do? And that's just one aspect, right? Physical component, and it's 54 pounds. Thank you, Lawrence. And it's it's on gravel, which is not pavement, which is like dog ears and biking. But the reason why I'm saying that is anything is possible if we put our mind to it. I know it's trite and we say it a lot, but if you just keep plugging away at something, eventually you're going to get better and better at it. And translating things we've done in the past that we've been successful to into this business with the leaders that are around us that are ready and willing to teach us for free. I mean, they're doing it. Sometimes they don't get any benefit out of it if you don't end up producing in the business. But, the benefit is us uplifting one another. The reward is deep when we see other people's accomplishing what they've always wanted to do. So I'm really inspired by your words today. I'm inspired by the leadership on this call, and I'm especially inspired not only in what we've done, but what we're going to do as a team. Have a great day, guys. Thank you so much.
Joe, talking about inspiration, as a medical provider, Lawrence and I have had this conversation. You've got the cardiologist that's a smoker. You've got the diabetes doctor that's, 200 pounds overweight. You're an influencer for your patients. Have you seen it have a positive impact on your patients, your commitment to increasing your overall health?
Lawrence was the one, he pointed out a few months ago, he's like, Scalia, man, you walk the talk. He's like, you're a leader because you're saying who you are, and you are what you're saying. And that's so important. And you know what, if you need to hit a provider right in between the eyes, the ones that are walking around having a little extra weight, it's like, guys, man, you went into healing for what? To make more money and have a good lifestyle? No, you went into healing so you can heal people. You want to be a positive influence in people's lives. So you got to start with yourself. You start with yourself. You take it to your partner, and then you take it to your family, and then you take it to the community, and then the community takes it to the world. That's how we're going to make our lives better. That's how we're going to heal the planet. That's how we're going to bring products and services and ways of being that are going to influence other people, is by showing them by example. That's what we need to do. And yeah, there are people who have been hypocritical. I've been one of them. At 200, 44.6 pounds, I was one of them. I was saying one thing on one side of my mouth, and I was chewing on some food I shouldn't be eating on the other. And it's time, guys. This was the wake-up call. COVID was the wake-up call. Yeah, we get to do what we always want to do, work from home. But who are we going to touch? And look how quickly we can do it now. I mean, you could do it through, like you said, Zoom. You could do it through LinkedIn, meeting people. You're afraid to see people face to face. Like you said, you don't have that anxiety anymore. It's just like all these barriers that we had when we started off, they're just not there anymore. It's not 2004 anymore. I mean, we're just hyper warp speed, ludicrous speed, as Spaceball says, right? I mean, with Tesla. So it's just so much less resistance, and it's super exciting. And if we have to convince anybody at this point, it's just like move on. You know what I mean?
It's certainly rubbing off on your family, because I saw your wife's out riding with you now. You got your wife a bike, and she's out riding, and I'm sure the kids soon enough will be out riding with you if they're not already.
Andy's son, yeah.
I don't want to make it all about me, but yeah, my daughter was inducted into the Junior Honor Society. She's a little brain, and my son, he's swimming, and he placed first in 2 out of the 4 strokes, and first time he's ever been in the pool competing. They're watching me, and they're seeing how I'm eating, and they're seeing the changes I made, and I'm doing it for myself, but I'm doing it to lead and leave a legacy for them on how to take care of themselves. And that's what the physicians need to do. They need to be a beacon of health and hope and knowledge in the community. And the scanner and anything that Nu Skin puts out from an innovative perspective does that for them. They already have people coming to them. They don't have to go find them anywhere. They're coming to them automatically. It's like They're coming to us every day. What's the problem? Just talk to them about what you're supposedly supposed to be all about. And if they're not, that's fine. Someone's going to talk to them about it. If they don't talk to their patients eventually will talk to them, because this is where we're going in great places, and we're doing it with a great team. Thank you so much, guys, for what you do every time you do these calls. I'm sometimes listening to you when I'm on the bike. Today it's just a little on the hot side at 91 degrees. That's why I'm going to go into the AC and be lazy.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Lawrence. Thanks, guys.
Good job. Thanks, Joe.
Any other questions, comments before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I wanted to comment here, and Joe and I have been very good friends for a long time. We were kind of in the business almost as long as each other, and one of the things that we learned early on from Nathan Ricks, who's made over $100 million in new skin and is worth a couple billion in real estate, was to set goals, to avoid negative people, and to never quit. And if we have our goals set, we're avoiding the negative people, and we've made a decision to never quit, we just keep trying. We give it another effort. And every time we fail, it's not failure. It's really just temporary defeat. And we give it another go and say, okay, why didn't it work last time? Why didn't I succeed last time? Why didn't I make the 3 calls yesterday? Okay, what can I do differently today? And my kids are in Taekwondo, and they've got to break different boards every time they get a new belt. And I see them, the last time they went to go break their board, I think it was Max didn't break the board the first time, and so we tried a second time, and then the instructor said, no, you're hit it here, hit it on this part of your foot. He made an adjustment. Now, if Max, which is my oldest son, would have lost enthusiasm the next time he kicked that board, it wouldn't have broken. And what he was able to do was go from one failure to the next without any loss of enthusiasm, making those small adjustments to have that breakthrough. And I've seen the same thing happen with so many people in our organization. I've seen the same thing happen with Joe. This isn't the first time he tried to lose weight or get into shape, but he did something differently every single time. And this time he broke the board, and he's inspiring me now to get in better shape. And just so proud of him, and so proud of everything that everyone is doing here. And let's make this year a breakthrough year for every one of us to reach a new goal and cast a new vision and set the next goal and keep going.
Thanks, Steve.
Awesome. Good points. All right. Anyone else, or we want to wrap it up, Lawrence?
I think unless Jim, anybody's got anything else?
I gotta go out. I gotta go out and ride my bike.
There you go. Take care, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you. Hopefully we'll see as many of you as possible next week out in Utah. Really looking forward to that, the 12th through the 14th. If you have any people you can get out there last minute. I want to say happy Mother's Day to everybody on the call, all the mothers on the call, and we'll see you guys next Friday from Utah. Thanks, everybody.
Next Monday as well on the call.
Bye.
Thank you. Thanks, guys, everybody. Monday, Wednesday as well. Don't forget the Wednesday.
Great.
Thanks, guys.